Doctor, I'm stopping here to talk with you today because I happen to personally love and promote and I rave about oregano. But like just about every other product that's available in our industry, let me turn down the light here a little bit so we can get a better lighting. That all products are not made equal, and there's a huge difference between wild and processed oregano.
There's a massive difference between the oreganos because the really original wild oregano is from the mountaintops of the Mediterranean, which is hand-picked by the villagers, and it's the wild spice. And that's the kind of wild oregano that a person really needs to be taking. It's edible, it can be taken daily. A lot of the other oil of oreganos are, I would almost call them like medicinal kind of thing, where they're not food grade and you can't take them every day. But with this, either as a capsule or oil, they're for daily use or every other day or weekly or whatever you want, because it's a spice, it's a food. Now the other issue is, of course, you've got the P73 blend, which is a blend of wild oreganos that grow on the mountain tops, on the rock. That's a difference between growing it in a farm. When it grows on the mountains, it's clean, it's free of mycotoxins, there's no pesticides, but the farm-raised material can be contaminated with pesticides and herbicides. More importantly, it tends to have mycotoxins because oregano doesn't like dirt. And if you grow it on dirt, it gets tainted and gets messed up. The second thing with some of the oil of oreganos that aren't original or that aren't the original brand is that they are some of them are genetically engineered. Now, about 1 of 3 oil of oreganos on the market, not this, of course, not P73, but 1 of 3 generic ones, they inject the stalk, God help us, with Pseudomonas aeruginosa, a toxic bacteria, to artificially raise the level of active ingredient. Now let me tell you about the research. I've conducted several studies at Georgetown and other places where we took oil of wild oregano and tested it against like bacteria and fungus, which it killed as well as the drugs. But when you use synthetic oregano, it still kills the germs, but the animals get sickly. When you use the whole complex of wild oregano, they don't get sick, their health improves. It saves the lives of the animals that are infected with candida or bacteria, and they're healthy afterwards. But when you just use the active ingredient, the single ingredient called carvacrol, the animals get sick after it saves their lives. There's a big difference. My point is, some people look at oil of oregano and they want to look for something called carvacrol, which is the big active ingredient. That's not what it's about. It's about carvacrol, the terpenes, the alcohols, 35 different natural ingredients in wild oregano was more effective than just using the active ingredient by itself. So now we know that some oregano oils, they actually put synthetic carvacrol, which is the main active ingredient, that you don't want. You want the whole food complex, that's all.
I had no idea they did that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that it's not necessary to put on the label that it's genetically engineered by the injection of bacterial toxins. God help us. Now here's another issue. Wild oregano, the oil, which is the most popular for internal consumption, I mentioned if it's P73, it can be taken daily, but also topical, the oil. A lot of people don't know this, but this is a fantastic for the lymphatics. So if there's congestion somewhere or irritation or some sort of a problem, even with the immune system, and you rub it on the bottom of the feet, this is ideal, by the way, for children, on the shins, on the top of the thigh, up and down the spine to get it into the lymphatic system. I've even used this for people who have a swollen leg from lymph congestion, and I rub it on and rub it on and rub it on until that improves. I also, for people who need it, put it in the palm of the hand and rub it over the clavicle, under the clavicle where the lymphatic ducts drain. The best lymphatic stimulant that there ever was.
And I also have to tell you, it's a great antibiotic.
Now the research shows on antibiotic issues that oregano is unique because it's an antiseptic and germicide. So the studies have shown that it kills bacteria, virus. Now I'm not saying the company's making this claim, I'm making it in general for oregano oil, but it kills bacteria, viruses, molds, fungi, and yeasts. both in tissue cultures and in animals. I've done the animal studies.
Well, you can't see it on camera now, but I showed it yesterday on my arm. I was in Mexico, and I got attacked, bitten by a Saint Bernard. And you can see the scar on my arm here where my skin was ripped open.
I see it.
I was lucky he only got that much, but I got back to the house, and of course I never travel without oil of oregano. Never. If I leave town and I don't have my oil of oregano, I get turned around.
That's what I do too.
And, but I put the oil of oregano on that night because by the time we got back to our house in Mexico City, my arm was already it was inflamed. There was a lot of redness.
You're going to get the bacterial infection.
Right. So I put the oil of oregano on the dog bite. Next morning I woke up, I was like, okay, in the morning I'm going to check it. I'm going to the hospital. But I woke up in the morning, it was perfectly clean, it was white.
Can you imagine? It's the finest thing to have if you're going to go somewhere where there could be some danger. Even it works as a insect repellent if you rub it on the arms.
Yes.
If you get an insect bite, if you get a spider bite, if you get a venomous bite, a snake even, then you put it on immediately. Or even if you get an allergic reaction like hives and itchy rash and it's dry, put it on. It will shut it down. Or maybe it's you got a food, your throat starts choking off. Or you get bit by a bee and you go into anaphylactic shock or peanut allergy. You must travel with the oil of oregano because it will neutralize those. Case history myself, I'm allergic to celery. My buddy didn't know it. He's an athletic coach. Doc's working hard, he's doing consultations. He gets me a big glass of juice. He says, drink this juice, it's fresh. It was celery juice. I'm allergic to celery. I start drinking it. I said, we're oregano oil. He got me the oregano oil. I put it under the tongue. Boom. It saved my life.
Under the tongue.
Under the tongue for direct, immediate absorption through the little membranes there. Case history. I'm overseas doing some research on the wild spices, the wild oregano in the mountains. In this case, we were looking at wild oregano honey. The bees started swarming, and the one guy got nervous. You know how insects and that? They attacked the guy with a couple of stings, right in the neck and right in the ear. The guy does this and collapses on the ground. I whip out old trusty, the oil of wild oregano, like you did. I put it and saturated the earlobe, saturated the neck area, held it there. He sits up. In 15 minutes, he's normal. That's why it's in the Bible. I'm not the scripture expert, but I can tell you, it says to purge yourself. This is a purge. It's not hyssop, it's oregano from Aesop. Oregano is a purge for toxins, for allergies, for some kind of sudden...
How would you, don't mean to interrupt, but in regards to allergies, how would you...
The best way...
Like if I was having allergies, how would you recommend I
All right, well there's three kind of allergies. One is the sudden shock allergy reaction. The throat closes off, the tongue gets swollen.
Anaphylactic shock.
Anaphylactic shock, dangerous. Now with GMOs out there, very dangerous.
Correct.
Then another one is the sort of skin rash allergy, you know, a breakout rash. And the third is the chronic stuff like rhinitis, sneezing, coughing, dry cough. It's the same every time. You put the oil of wild oregano, the P73, under the tongue and hold it there until it shuts the stupid thing down. And you can use it every 5 minutes if you want.
So you just use it in its full strength form, you don't dilute it?
Don't dilute it. And the skin too. If it's itching and irritating and swollen, then you apply it. And if it's a bad area, you can even saturate some cotton and tape it on, whatever. It shuts it down.
Well, just a quick question on the side. What about, do you think it might have any impact on certain types of acne?
The question is about acne. Acne can be due to fungal, to candida, to bacteria, and to hormonal imbalance. We have seen that if people just take the wild oregano oil just like this, no creams, nothing, and just keep applying it on the acne, all these scars on the chest, the back, the suffering, keep applying it and take it under the tongue, it wipes it out. We don't understand why. Is it because it kills the germs?
Science hasn't been done on it.
Nobody knows. It wipes it out. And then if you got a really bad lesion, you can take that cotton, paper tape, a little bit of telfa, saturate, put it on, and sleep with it on.
Okay. All right, I have somebody to test that on.
All right, well, we're going to give you some, and you can give us a double-blind study.
It's a double-blind study.
Close your eyes with wild nature, you're all right. Come back and tell us.
Well, thank you for that. We've learned a lot about oregano. It's my favorite herb, actually.
And let me just tell everybody that, and I'm not, going to promote one company over another, but I do know this is a great little list. The people at North American Herb and Spice, call them, email them, info@p73.com, info@p73.com, and get their 101 list of all the uses of wild oregano.
All right, well, thank you very much for that. That was very informative, very exciting, and we continue to watch.
Let's go on to the next one. Yeah, we're going to do more research.
Okay, terrific. Thank you for that info.